Did you know you could cook juicy, tender steak right in your air fryer? Today, I've got 7 tips to help you get it right every single time. No one likes a dry, tough steak. Am I right or am I right? Now let's be real. Is the air fryer gonna give you the best steak of your life? Probably not, but it's definitely a close second. Even my husband, who is a grill master, was impressed with my air fryer steak. Yay! Okay, he's not a grill master, but he really thinks it's quite awesome. If we have not met before, my name is Cathy from fabulouslyfrugal.com, and I'm sharing simple and easy air fryer recipes and tips right here. The air fryer is actually a really great option for cooking up steak because this cute little chamber keeps a nice controlled temperature so your steak cooks nice and evenly, and it gets just hot enough to lightly crisp the edges. Cleanup is a breeze, and it's a really great option for when it's too cold to grill outside. Depending on the thickness of your steaks and the level of doneness that you want, they could literally be cooked in less than 15 minutes. You ready to see these 7 tips? Let's go. Tip number 1, start with the right steak. You're gonna wanna look for a steak that has some nice fat marbling throughout. 2 great options for the air fryer are a ribeye steak or a New York strip steak. Today, I've got a 16-ounce ribeye steak and a 12-ounce New York strip steak. Now, I prefer to get my steak direct from the farm, so I use a company called Savory Butcher. They bring it from the farm straight to my city, and I pick it up. They come about once a month in my city. It cuts out the middleman, the grocery store, and really lowers the price of the meat that I pay for. And for the steaks, they deliver them in what's called a steak chop box. It's full of 16 pounds of about 6 different cuts of meat. And you guys, this is like 5-star restaurant steak at a super affordable price. If you want to learn more about this company, just check out the notes below. I've got a link directly to them where you can check out the steak chop box and see if they deliver in your area. Tip number 2, temper the steak. This is an important step that some people totally miss the boat on. Once my steak is thawed out, I pull it from the fridge, remove it from the packaging. I'm gonna let it rest for 20 to 30 minutes before I even start the cooking process. It's called tempering the steak, and it helps your steak cook more evenly, and some say it even makes it taste better. Tip number 3, season your steak. And before you season, you always want to pat your steak dry. Just blot some paper towels down right there on the steak. This is going to help the steak brown better and lock in the juices. Next, it's important to massage just a tiny bit of oil on the steak. I'm talking like a teaspoon or less, my friends. It's important to choose a tasteless oil that has a high smoke point. I'm using avocado oil. Just massage that all over your meat, and it's gonna help the seasoning adhere to your steak. Then it's time to season. Now, you can use any seasoning mix that you want, but I personally just season it with some kosher salt. And guess what? You need to season it like you mean it, y'all. It's okay to be a little heavy-handed with the salt. Just massage it in and make sure you get the sides. And for me personally, I like to add more seasoning after the steak is done cooking while it's resting. I'll show you how to make some seasoned butter here just in a minute, so keep watching. And I'm curious how you like to season your steaks. Go ahead and leave a comment down below and let me know. Tip number 4, preheat your air fryer. Now, I don't always preheat my air fryer, and then there are other recipes that I for sure will preheat it for about 5 minutes. But when it comes to steaks, I am preheating my air fryer for 10 minutes at 400 degrees. And then as soon as it's done, I place my steak right in the air fryer basket. And you should hear a nice sizzle. Do you hear that? It's amazing. Do not use parchment paper here, y'all. You also want to make sure there's room around each steak so the air can circulate. And if it's just too tight, take one out and cook in batches. You won't regret it. So I'm popping my steak in the air fryer at 400 for 6 minutes. And if you have a thicker steak, you might want to bump it up to 7 or 8 minutes. And while the steak is cooking, this is when I whip up my garlic herb butter. You'll need just 2 tablespoons of some soft room temperature butter, and then add a ½ tablespoon of chopped fresh parsley. Don't you just love my cute little herb cutting scissors? They're adorable. Next, add a ¼ teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. And then add 1/2 to a teaspoon of minced garlic. And again, oops, I kind of messed up and did a little bit more than that, but it still tastes amazing. You just want to stir it long enough so everything is nice and blended and evenly distributed, and then just set it aside while your steak is cooking. Tip number 5, rotate your steak and flip it. Now, you're only going to do this once during the entire cooking cycle. So after that first 6 minutes is up, I like to flip them and rotate the direction that they're laying in the air fryer fire just to make sure the cooking is nice and even, Steven. And at this point, the remaining cook time is going to depend on how thick your steak is and what level of doneness you want, which leads me to tip number 6. Cook your steak about 3 degrees under that level of doneness that you're looking for. This is why your instant read meat thermometer is going to be your best friend. If you've watched any of my other air fryer recipes, you know that I use this instant read meat thermometer in almost all of my air fryer cooking and baking. So to go right with that instant read thermometer, I actually have a free download that you can print out and hang on your fridge. I list out all of the temperatures for meat and baked goods, plus I have 18 air fryer tips. It's nice to have right there on the fridge so everyone's on the same page when it comes to the air fryer. If you want that download, you can look down in the notes below. Just click on the arrow right next to the title. If you are on your mobile phone, you'll see a link to get this download, plus a link to the recipe and all the tools that I'm using in this video down in that description below. In my family, we like our steaks cooked to medium, so my plan was to cook these to about 142 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 61 degrees Celsius. And dang, you can see I was so close, but it's okay because tip number 7, let it rest on a raised surface for half the amount of time it took to cook the steak. This will help your steak finish cooking up evenly and lock the juices in. It's such an important step, so don't miss it. You can use any sort of rack. I actually let my steak rest right there in the air fryer basket. And this is the point where I drop a spoonful of the garlic herb butter right on top of my steak and let it melt as it rests. So since I cooked it for 12 minutes, I'm gonna let it rest for 6 minutes, and holy cow, it's so amazing. If this was helpful to you, be sure to check out my 4 hacks for cooking up perfect air fryer chicken right here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.